Good morning, everyone. This is from the United States and Canada. It'll be a very, very early morning for you if you're catching this live. But hello to all replay viewers, because you can always catch it on the replay. I don't delete or make private my live streams, so you can always catch them on the replay. Good time for Europe and anywhere east of me. Certainly a good time for those down under. But we've got some Europeans in. We've got good morning from Belgium. Good morning from Germany. Oh, just getting up for work, 4:15 a.m. Oof. Well, you can have a listen while you're getting ready for work. Good morning from Missouri. Good morning from Canada. Must be early for you guys. And good morning to everybody just coming in right now. 3:15 from Mississippi. Kentucky. Another Canada. South Carolina. About to take the hubs to a red-eye flight in New York City. Oh wow. California. Oh my word. 1:15 a.m. I bet you've not been to bed. Scandinavia, the Netherlands, Nova Scotia, Italy. Oh wow, we're a very diverse bunch this morning. All right. Okay. Good morning from East Tennessee, New York, Buffalo, Sheffield. Oh, that's not too far. From Australia, 6:15 p.m. So it's perfect time for you guys down under. All right. So Tony Mathis, the spokesperson for Seth Rogers, has given a new interview. Unfortunately, it's on TikTok, which is irritating because live streams on TikTok don't record. So unless someone actually screen records it while it's playing, no one can watch the replay. TikTok doesn't, hold replays like YouTube does. So it is irritating. However, someone has screen recorded it and put it in one of the Facebook groups. So I'm going to play it from there. All right, it's decent audio because it's screen recorded off a phone. So there's not a reduction in audio. So that's good. I've only listened to a little bit of it because it happened overnight my time. And unfortunately, as you can see, well, you will see in a minute when I move my screen over, the person who's recorded it has recorded it in segments. I don't know whether that's purposefully so that it's easy to upload onto Facebook. I'm assuming that's what it is. So we're going to have to, every 3 minutes, we're going to have to change the segment. So it's going to get a little bit irritating, but bear with it. Bear with it. But first, this is the young man who is the centre of all of this controversy. This is the Amber Alert for Sebastian Wainwright Rogers. He's been missing since the 26th of February. So I think we're on day 78, possibly. Someone wants to do the calculation. He's 15 years old. He's a white male, brown hair, brown eyes, 5'5", just under 120 pounds. Last seen kind of late on February 25th in his house. His mother was the last person to speak to him when he went to bed, from Stafford Court in Hendersonville, which is in Sumner County, a few miles from Nashville in Tennessee. Last seen wearing black sweatpants with a white stripe, a black sweatshirt with some kind of motif on it, and glasses. He does have a medical condition. He's autistic, but he also suffers from a chromosomal disorder called 6q27 chromosomal deletion syndrome. So he's very clever. However, he is very vulnerable. Anybody who has any credible, and I emphasize the word credible, tips on the whereabouts of Sebastian Rogers should contact the Sumner County Sheriffs at 615-451-3838 or the TBI on 1-800-TBI-FIND. And the TBI's number will be scrolling across the bottom of the screen throughout this live stream. It's day 78. Thank you, Lynn. Day 79. Okay. All right. All right. Okay. Depends what day, depends what time zone you're in. Maybe it's day 78 for some people and day 79 for others. Anyhow, so this is the stream. It's on Chase and Crime is the host. And as I said, this is been recorded on someone's phone because TikTok don't record their own replays. So I'm guessing that most people haven't seen this unless you watched it live on TikTok or unless someone else has played the segments like I'm going to do. Someone else might have done this already. I don't know. Because I got up this morning, went for a walk. Well, I got up this morning, fed the dogs, had a little nap, went for a walk, and then I'm here. So I haven't actually watched any YouTube this morning. Okay, so without further ado, let's get going. No, I'm not playing the first kind of 3 minutes or so because it's just like small talk. So we're going to get straight into it. The bits I've heard is talking about the fake dog handler, but I haven't heard anything more. I've played the first, 3 segments or something just to check whether it was worth actually talking about. So this is the beginning. As I said, it's all in segments, so we're going to have to swap it over every 3 minutes or so. Yeah, there's a big mix of countries. Tony appears to have a harem of ladies with him. He does. So all of these people are on the panel, but the host is someone called Chase and Crime. So credit goes to that person for hosting this. And also credit goes to the person who put this on Facebook. That was very useful for those of us who didn't watch it live. Okay, now there have been some problems with audio on StreamYard. So we're going to do a little test. It's also awkward now. You've got to keep scrolling like this, but I'll just play it like this. All right, so let's do a little volume test, sound test. Can you hear this?
There's a lot of categories on TikTok. Dude, true crime ain't it. If you're going to try and to come in and try and gain clout off of it or try and put lies out, one, true crime, that's our job to debunk you. So this is just a pledge to anybody that has any intention.
Good stuff. So we can hear it. Good stuff. Hi from Dubai, Alabama, Mississippi. Hearing it fine. All right. So I'll comment after every segment. I think that might be the best way to do it. So I'll comment as I'm changing segments.
Of doing any harm in any case moving forward, to not do it, because that is what true crime does, and you're going to look a lot worse in the end. So if you're going to troll elsewhere. I had to throw that out there. I had to, because it seems to be a lot lately.
I don't know if Jules is listening or not, but just know, Jules, Sebastian's Army's got your back. We got your back. You're part of our team, and all these ladies on here on the panel, they got your back too. So let's just get that out of the way.
Yes, Jules.
Can I ask a question on the dogs? So Ocean, or I guess anybody. So did this Stephanie person actually go to their house?
I don't think so. I'll find out for you. I don't know the answer to that, but I don't think so. I mean, nothing.
The only reason that I ask is because there's another creator on here that has been talked a lot about this case, and it's just convenient that their dogs' names are also alcohol names.
Yeah, what I found, and I'll find that I don't like to answer anything I don't know to be true. I know that Jules is legit. I know that this Stephanie person's been causing a lot of trouble. I can't say for sure she hasn't been in the area or at the house. I'll find out for you. I just don't know the answer.
Well, TBI should have her information because she said that she was cleared by TBI. Yeah. So if she's legit, they would know who you're talking about.
Yeah, now I do have a screenshot from Jules that she has been cleared by Agent Simmons. So I know for a fact she's been cleared. I don't know about this Stephanie person. I mean, to me, if you were legit in any way, shape, or form, you wouldn't be using Google images of your dog that aren't really yours. So the whole thing smells a little fishy to me.
Exactly.
So.
Yeah. She also went on afterwards, and I mean, I kind of thought, like, is she tipsy? Like, she was, just because the way she was talking, she was bringing up cities that are here in our county, but she wasn't saying what she was doing. It was just.
Okay, so that's the first segment. So, of course, they're referring to all of the nonsense that has happened over the last day.
There's a lot of genres.
Whoa.
There's a lot of categories.
Oh, I hate Facebook. It's so awkward to navigate. All right, so we'll be on to the next segment. I didn't play the first one because it's just like small talk. So this is the next.
I don't know what you're doing.
All right. So, of course, this is relating to Steph, the fake dog handler that I talked about yesterday. Many people have talked about. Just absolute, complete garbage. Garbage. It does. It takes a special kind of stupid to do what she did. Is this the dog handler that kept crying on everybody's live? Yes. Yes. She went on. I did a video taking some clips from her interview on allegedly with Brittany. I think that's her name. And T-Rev. She was on Jays for Justice, I think, twice. And she's probably been on, I think she's been on several channels. I didn't try to catch every single channel that she's been on because once I realized, very quickly, it didn't take long to realize that she was fake. She doesn't know anything about dog tracking or dog trailing. She took pictures of her 4 bloodhounds from Google because somebody reverse image search, even the husband that she said she had is a photo from the internet. So we don't even know if she's got a husband. Never mind that she's got 4 highly trained bloodhounds. It was absolutely nonsense. So I think we all know now that she was fake. Some creators have apologized, and rightly so. And it's good that they have, for entertaining her, for having her on panels. And, I do feel for the creators who do call-in shows. There is a reason I don't do call-in shows, but those that do call-in shows, they have no control over what those people say initially. But then as soon as it's, found out that this person is a fake, then it's only right that those creators apologize for even entertaining them, and also the to put a stop to the misinformation. Unfortunately, even if someone's discredited, there will be a portion of people who continue to believe them. And I've had some people in the comments to my video. I did a live stream and a recorded video yesterday, and I have had some people in my comments who still believe that Steph is genuine, that people just think that, it's the pro Chris Profoot brigade that are deriding this woman. And no, nothing could be further from the truth. I'm completely neutral about the Proudfoots. I'm neutral about Seth. This woman was fake, absolutely fake. The other dog handler who has been on some panels is someone called Julia. She's very genuine. So let's not get confused between Julia and Steph. Steph is the fake with the 4 fake bloodhounds. Julia with the Belgian Malinois is very genuine. She's highly qualified. She's in the military. She does, her dogs have, I think she's got 6 or 7 dogs, and each one is trained in kind of a different aspect of scent detection. And some of her dogs are dual purpose, meaning that they can detect more than one type of scent. Michelle should start a fake dog handler only channel. Okay. Why? Why? How many fake dog handlers are there out there that I could talk about? Because there's only one, Steph. And Julia was on, what channel was she on? I can't remember what channel she was on. But anyway, she was on a channel yesterday. I can't remember. And she was really upset because it kind of looks bad on her because people have lumped her in with this fakery. But no, Julia is genuine. Absolutely genuine. Highly qualified with, you know, accredited, verified dogs. And apparently, just according to Tony there, she's given the proof to him that she has got verification from the TBI, that they've acknowledged her, you know, credibility. Granny's watching. Thank you, Angel. Yes, it was Granny's Watching's channel. So there was a number of people on panel, and she was on there, and I do feel for her. I do. I honestly do, because you don't think that somebody will do something like this. You know, someone who, someone who's willing to tell such a fantastic story. Why? And Julia's probably not as well versed in social media as we are. We know to be suspicious. We know to be, you know, critical of people until they prove their worth. So anyhow, next segment. All right, this is 5 minutes. So I'll comment after this segment. Hopefully these segments have been recorded in order. Because if they haven't, that's going to get mighty confusing. But hopefully this follows on from the last one.
And trying to be a dog handler, you know, you're calling in on shows after Jules is, and, you know, sending pictures of your dogs. You don't even get their names right. The images you're sending in of your dogs have been reverse Google image searched, and they actually came from like Chewy. They're Chewy images. So, I mean, this is crazy. And highly disrespectful, because Jules is a 13-year Army captain. I don't know if you guys knew that or not, but she's a 13-year Army captain serving her country. She's got 7 highly qualified dogs. She's got 2 dogs that are pertinent to the type of search that we're doing. What kind of dogs were those, Dana? Huh?
Like German Shepherd's Malinois.
German Shepherd, and what was the other one? Malinois or something?
Yeah, Belgian Malinois.
Yeah, like no joke of a dog, according to my wife. I don't know shit about dogs, sorry. But, you know, so Jules, when you hear the name Jules, she is our canine person, and she is a part of our team. She's Seth's girl. You know, we support her. We endorse her. She is, if if her name isn't Jules, then she's not a part of what we're doing. I have no idea who this Stephanie person is, but she's not part of our team. And honestly, I think she's probably a troll. I don't even know if she's a real dog handler.
I think she's a
I
troll.
was going to say, let's clear up, because I think people might get confused. Because, I mean, we get people, I mean, there's a lot of information coming inside and outside of this case, trolls and not trolls, real, you know what I mean? Real legit, not real legit. And there's so much going on. So let's clarify who we're speaking about on who this other person is. So there's two separate dog handlers, correct? I think Ocean knows a lot more about the dog handlers than I do. I have all the emails.
Stephanie is the one who claimed that she's from Orange County. Her and her husband, she claims her husband is 45 years law enforcement. They were cleared by TBI. They took a private plane on their own dime to fly their dogs out there because they didn't want their dogs in cargo. And when they got there, their dogs started to hit on the curb area. And that's when Chris Proudfoot told her to get the hell out of there. And she was, I think you remember, I told you, Chase, I was like, oh, that sounded a little weird. She kept focusing a lot on our airport here and how Kobe flies out of it. Like, who cares? Why did she keep bringing that up? It was almost like a clout thing, I kind of thought. And then I thought it was a little strange how she was crying a lot. I thought that was a little unprofessional. But I don't know a whole lot about dogs. So I didn't really, I had a couple red flags go up that I just thought was odd behavior for somebody that's supposed to be professional. But yeah, and then I guess it was exposed this morning that she's kind of following Jules to different YouTube interviews. And I did see that people asked her in the live this morning, I guess, to show her dogs, and she made up an excuse, but then she posted pictures of them, and they're all very unprofessional names. They're like names of alcohol drinks, which is kind of unprofessional if you're going to have a canine handling business.
So did she never went to the Rogers, the actual house, or did she?
I don't think so.
I think so either. I don't
and
think
the theory that's been floated out there, which I don't believe, because Chris Proudfoot is such an egomaniac. He wouldn't want any bad information out there about him. But people are kind of speculating, oh, the Proudfoots put her up to it. So when it's confirmed that she's a fraud, it will make it look like all the other information that's being negative information that's being put out there about them is also untrue, which I'm not buying that, because he's too concerned with his reputation and what people think of him. He's not going to want that out there too. So she's just another sicko, it sounds like, that's trying to gain clout and attention off of the back of a missing child, which is...
Okay, she is. She's just trying to gain clout, attention. She doesn't appear to be in it for money. So I'm assuming it's just attention. Just wanted 15 minutes of fame. Or she's just a complete and total troll. Now, there have been the speculation or the opinion of some creators that Chris Proudfoot put Steph up to this. I don't believe that personally, because I don't
know what you're doing trying to be a dog handler.
Why does it restart?
There's something wrong with you.
All right, that's the next one. I don't think Chris Proudfoot would want a person like this trolling. I honestly don't, because there's no benefit for to him of it. Because people are believing it, and it puts him in a bad light for those who believe it. And for those who think that I'm talking about this fake dog handler too much, because, Z-Plane says, I'm just frustrated. The dog handler story is tangential. It's happened. Now it's over. Yet this channel has become all fake dog handler all the time. Well, it was the only thing worth talking about yesterday. And they're still talking about it. This is the first time Tony Mathis, the spokesman, has talked about it. And I'm replaying his interview. It is tangential. We will move on. But we've got to make sure that people understand that that person is fake. As I said, there's people still believing that she's the real deal. Now, the only person who's the real deal in this whole sorry mess that's happened over the last day is Julia. She's genuine. So, yes, it's tangential. However, it's an important message that people need to be critical. You need to think critically. You need to be open-minded and be objective. And don't just jump on information because it berates the prophets. That's the reason why everybody's talking about it. Netflix is going to get 2 seasons out of this case. You better believe it. Yeah, you better believe it. So, more red flags than a Chinese parade. Scott, yeah. Yeah. There is, all the way through this. Her name is Jules. Yeah, Julia. She's a 13-year army captain. Plus she has 7, according to Tony. I knew it was either 6 or 7. Highly trained scenting dogs with kind of different levels of training. Each one does different things. One of her dogs, Ara, her name's Ara, is a cadaver dog. So for me, that's the dog that's needed. And I want a highly trained dog with highly trained searchers out there searching all of those woods north of to begin with, north of the house. I know they've been searched by law enforcement, but that was when they were looking for a live person. So they need to go and recanvass the whole area. For those who don't know what Belgian Malinois are, this is a Belgian Malinois. This is my daughter's dog called Nova. She's a Belgian Malinois. So they look somewhat like a German Shepherd, although they're a bit smaller, thinner, and very, very, very active and agile. Don't get one of these dogs if you're a couch potato. They are beautiful, but don't get one. Do not get one if you're a couch potato, because they're go, 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 go. And they need to have a very active lifestyle. All right, next clip. So this is only 45 seconds. All right, cool.
And I'll tell you guys, I am an hour and a half away in North Carolina where that North Carolina picture came. And I actually chased down some poor woman in a car I thought had Sebastian. And I probably am on the news over here somewhere scaring this lady, but I was trying to find him while I was over here.
I love this one. I love this one.
Yeah,
I love them all, but
that one is so cute. And I was in Hendersonville to know a little bit about me, Tony. Hey. So I only live I only live about 3 hours away over here in Knoxville. Go Vols. And I
don't really know what the point of a 45-second clip was. It's going to start.
There's something wrong with you.
Where were we? That one. So that was a nice little photo. So they've been sharing photos. So it does seem to have moved on somewhat. So like I said, I don't know if all of these are in order, but we've stopped talking about the fake dog handler, unless in the next clip it goes back to it. This is as far as I've listened to. So the rest, I'm listening to it for the first time. So I don't know what's coming. I genuinely don't know what's coming next. And there's quite a few of these clips. So we've got another 5, 6, 7, 8 to listen to. Okay, next one.
He goes, oh, yeah, I told her. She just told me to tell you she don't like you. And I said, all right, well, tell her Happy Mother's Day.
For now, she don't like you. For now. I have to use the restroom, though. I'll be right back. The girls, Tony, you can hold it down. You got this.
There's actually some really good questions in the chat that I would maybe like to toss out there to you. So first one, do you think CP has ties to the police department, and are the police being shady?
I don't think so. I mean, I think that's, I mean, look, I think there's plenty of things that are wrong with CP, but I don't think there's anything to tie. I've talked to an FBI person, a former FBI person that's worked with Hendersonville Police Department, Sumner County, TBI. He says they're all good people. I don't have any reason to believe that. Now, if it came out that it was true, I wouldn't be surprised, but I can't say that, and I don't think so.
Who is the David that he's referring to? That Heather was saying there was an open line of communication back with Seth, and he's like, he better not open his mouth or he'll never open it again.
I don't know that. You talking about on that recording?
Yeah, he said that there's David, and they're talking again, and people were assuming it was somebody in law enforcement that CP knows.
Well, so I think Seth made a comment that he was talking to, I don't know if it was Agent Simmons or that Paddock or whatever his name is, but he had reestablished a line of communication with that law enforcement officer. And what Chris was trying to say is that, there's Bobby Simmons. I think it was Agent Simmons, but what Chris was trying to say is that if Seth didn't shut his mouth, that Bobby was going to talk to him again, essentially saying that they're talking to you now because you disappeared for a little while, but if you keep running their mouth, they're not going to talk to you anymore.
Well, I thought it was strange that Heather made it sound like that agent should be, if that's the person, that person should be going through her and not Seth.
Yeah, I mean, here's my opinion on all that. I mean, first off, I think that whoever's in charge of the investigation should always be talking to the father. I've been very consistent on that. If there is a line of communication between law enforcement and the PI, then that's fantastic. But there's going to be some things that they should tell the father first, and there's going to be some things that, like in Caleb's case, we had PIs, and it's a different dynamic because one of the owners of the firm was retired FBI. A second partner is retired CIA. A third partner is also retired FBI. One of the FBI agents, or one of the retired agents that's our PI over there, was actually an FBI agent in Corpus Christi, where the case is. So you can imagine he's got a.
Well, that clip was just getting interesting. Oh dear. Hopefully, the next one moves right on along. So he's referring to Caleb Harris's case. He's also the spokesperson for Caleb Harris's family. Caleb Harris, of course, is the young man, 23-year-old. He's 23 or 21. I did a live stream about Caleb a while ago. He's been missing from Corpus Christi in Texas. Very unusual, very strange case. And Caleb's still missing. So Tony, when he comes on panels, he talks about Caleb, quite rightly so, because he's the spokesperson for that case as well. He talks about Caleb's case as well as Sebastian's case. And I'm happy for him to do that personally, because Caleb needs the publicity, just like Sebastian does. Yeah, Tony's done a great job cleaning up. I mean, a lot of people have criticised Tony, when he first came in. I'm giving him a chance, and he's not done anything as of yet to piss me off, which is a good thing. Because I am very easily pissed off. Yeah, that's true, Broken Goth Doll. When a case isn't solved quick enough, some folks insist it has to be a police cover-up and conspiracy. That's true. And look, police cover-ups do happen. There are instances where police cover-ups, corruption, all of that stuff happens. I'm not saying it never happens. It does happen. Do I believe it's happening in this case, though? No, And the people who've said that that the cops are protecting Chris Profoot because he's got, I don't know, he's got a family member or something. His sister works in the sheriff's department. I've not found any evidence that his sister works in the sheriff's department. But even if she did, that wouldn't mean that they're protecting him. So I don't believe in, and I'm glad that Tony is also of that mindset that the police are not protecting the Profoots. Whose panel is this? It's someone called Chase and Crime. It's on TikTok.
He goes, oh, yeah, I told her. She just told me.
So what's happened is, overnight my time, so this is a few hours ago, Tony Mathis, the spokesperson for Sebastian Rogers and Caleb Harris, was on TikTok talking about primarily Sebastian's case. TikTok, however, doesn't allow creators to record live streams. So if you don't catch it live on TikTok, then you can't see it. There's no replay option. You know, like on YouTube, when you can watch a live stream, if you miss it, you can catch it on the replay. You know, YouTube automatically records it and it just becomes a video that you can replay. You know, you can fast forward and rewind and speed up and slow down and, you know, go back to it time and time again if you want to. But TikTok's not like that. If you don't catch it live, you've missed it. Now, fortunately, someone has screen recorded it and added the entire conversation in segments. That's why it's a little bit annoying that we're having to keep changing the video. It's in the Find Sebastian Rogers Facebook group. If you're on a desktop, like a computer, you need to go to media. So I'll show you at the end how to get to it if you want to go and replay this yourself. If you're on a mobile device, I think it's just called Photos and you can get to it there. But I'll show you that at the end, how to get to it if you want to go and replay any of these clips. So credit for these clips, a credit for the live stream is someone called Chase and Crime. I don't know what her TikTok handle is, but that's what it says on her. Let's click on the next one
real quick because
she's the host, Chase and Crime. So I'm assuming it's her account. And then somebody has screen recorded them. You can see here it's like screen recorded on an iPhone and added them to the Facebook group. I'm playing them from the Facebook segment uploads. So full credit to Chase and Crime for taking the time to do this. There's a number of people on panel with her, and well done to the person who screen recorded this, so it allows us all who haven't seen this to listen to it all on the replay. All right, so this is the next segment. This is 5 minutes and 54 seconds. Hopefully this follows on from the previous conversation because that was getting interesting in my opinion. But let's check it out.
I mean, I can't imagine that law enforcement thinks the way that Chris has behaved is anywhere close to normal, and why or what is it that they need to push this over to an actual criminal investigation so that we can get dogs on the property and, you know, do the things that we need to do to find Sebastian.
I think that Body and I could probably both answer this, but you know, the real simple answer is evidence. And you know, it's just like getting a probable cause affidavit. You have to have something to justify that being granted. And, you know, if you're going to start bringing dogs back, you're going to start issuing search warrants. I mean, you have to have probable cause for that. And the fact that, you know, a guy's somebody that nobody likes, I mean, you know, we can sit here in the true crime world and say, hey, you know, everybody thinks this, everybody thinks that, but they just can't operate that way. And they've got to have some real, you know, forensic evidence, digital evidence. They've got to have a reason to do things like that, if that makes sense.
No, absolutely. But you would think that at this point in time, they could say, there's enough circumstantial things going on that just don't add up. They don't make sense, that they could at least
time finding a judge signing off on that. You're going to have, the privacy laws in the United States are strict for a reason. And you're just going to have, it's a violation of civil rights. It truly is. You're not going to be able to just randomly go to any judge without significant probable cause, and there just isn't any. And that's why the PI needs to find some, right? That's why it's so important.
I'll tell you what drives, to Body's point, what drives all these subpoenas and warrants and everything else, a lot of times the PI is what drives that. Now, in Caleb's case, the PI came in late, but the PI has still been responsible for additional subpoenas and warrants, et cetera. So, if the law enforcement doesn't have the digital evidence to justify that, then it would be great for the PI to be able to drive that.
100%. And I think a lot of it is going to be digital. But, I could be wrong. I think a lot of it's going to be digital.
I agree, Body. I think you're spot on there.
Give me, you guys give me a second. Seth just finally sent me some pictures. So you guys go ahead and talk and I'll be right back.
Just really quick. Tony, one second. Tony, if you can hear me still, just text them to me and I'll put one of them up. That way, at least we have one up behind me that is more recent. I'm trying to, okay. So I made the account for
really
Tony.
quick, guys. We're not going to put anybody else in the box because we're going to put the new account for you guys to follow in a box. So it's easier for you guys to follow it. So just give us a couple minutes. And I have another phone. She's on a computer. So
yeah, I've never used the app on a computer. I made the account on the computer.
You can't go in lives on you can't jump in a box on a computer. It doesn't work.
Chase, if you can do multiple pictures, you can text me one and I can put it on my background also.
Okay. Yeah, I texted him the other day and I'm like, can you give me more pictures of Sebastian?
How do we send money to Seth's Cash App? Do you guys have it?
Okay, before we do that, let me clarify. Let me find out from Seth and Tony the specific one. Hold on, Tony.
I was gonna say, I know there's
the specific one because I know there's been multiple out there with all different scenarios. So I want to make sure that wherever money is sent, it's going where Tony and Seth wanted to go.
Yeah, there's been a trust that they're working on setting up. So I'll be able to give you some more information on that probably on the next live. I don't have all the details on that, but Chase, I just sent you some pictures and you're going to get teary-eyed when you see some of those.
Oh,
Tony, can you clarify that too? Because I know that this has kind of been back and forth. Somebody else put it in the comments. Was there only one CPS case between Chris and Sebastian, or was there two? The information has been kind of convoluted.
All I know at this point, I don't know the quantity. I know that there was a bunch of documents that Seth was able to obtain that we'll be talking about a little bit about those from Seth's mouth directly tomorrow on Pascal's show. I think we'll be on with him tomorrow night at 7:00. But I can find that out. I just know that there's a bunch of documents. I just don't know how many specific cases.
Okay, thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, somebody just commented that Trev was going live and saying his topic was like arrests coming soon. That's just clickbait, isn't that? Or do you know anything about that?
No.
Okay.
Okay, that was an interesting segment. So Seth and presumably Tony are going to be on the Pascal show. So that's on YouTube. So we can catch that on the replay. We don't have to rely on somebody recording these clips for us. 7 p.m. I'm assuming that's Eastern. 7 p.m. It might be Central, actually, Nashville Central time, isn't it? So whatever that is in your local time. But if you miss it, then you'll be able to catch it on the replay. So that'll be the Pascal Show on YouTube. That'll be tonight, 7 p.m., whatever that is, Central time. Who's Trev? I'm assuming that the meaning T-Rev. Let's have a look, actually. Because there's Trev time and T-Rev. Like it's Trev, but with a dash. Let's have a look. T-Rev. Yeah, look. It's T-Rev. Sebastian Rogers arrest coming soon, question mark. CP sent dog handler, distraction, live call-ins. So it's just a question. Is there an arrest coming soon? So the answer to that is no. CP sent dog handler, distraction. The answer to that, in my opinion, is no. I don't think Chris sent that fake dog handler as a distraction because it doesn't benefit him. That's just in my opinion. No, it's not clickbait. It's asking questions. It's clickbait if you don't recognize that there's question marks in there. People accuse me of clickbait. When I put a question in a title, people accuse me of clickbait. It's like, no, you're asking a question and you're exploring that in your video. So people could read it as clickbaitish. But anyway, relation to arrests and probable cause for arrests. Of course, law enforcement need probable cause for an arrest and they don't have any. They also need probable cause for things like search warrants, or else the judge won't sign off on a search warrant. Now, they need less, in my opinion, to get a search warrant. You need kind of less information than you do for an arrest. But Chris and Katie have voluntarily allowed the cops to search their property and their vehicles multiple times, at least 10 times, allegedly. So they've never needed a search warrant to search the property. And if they went to Chris and Katie and asked to search again, I'm sure they'd allow it. But and they've handed over their phones voluntarily. So they've never needed to get search warrants for anything to do with the families. The landfill search. Now, they would have probably needed a search warrant for the landfill, unless the landfill people voluntarily let them go, or they only were there a day. I'm guessing there would have been a warrant for that. And the probable cause for that would be that the trash truck, the trash had been collected the same day that Sebastian went missing. So it made sense, actually, to search that landfill. Were the caves ever searched? Some caves were searched, but some weren't because they were too dangerous for searchers to go in. Talked about that on previous videos. So that's, yeah. So it'll be interesting. It'll be interesting to see what documents they've got, like the CPS documents. But if they're going to show these CPS documents, I've got a bit of a problem with that, honestly. Don't know how you feel about it. Because CPS documents really should be remain private. So I don't know what benefit there would be in actually showing CPS documents, because Sebastian could be alive. Let's just remember that all of this stuff that's coming out about Sebastian, if he comes home alive, he's got to live with the knowledge that all of this stuff about him and his childhood and his past trauma is all out there. So I've got a bit of a problem with that. Seth having the documents, yes, I absolutely agree that Seth should have those documents. But showing them live, I have a problem with that. If that's what they're going to do, they may not even do it. They may not do that, and I hope they don't. But Seth should have a copy of them. I mean, I think that's why law enforcement have been reluctant to talk to Seth, because he puts too much out in the public domain. They know that he's talking on social media. So I think that's the reason why law enforcement have been reluctant to carry on talking to him. But let's wait and see. So Pascal Show, 7 p.m., whatever that is in your local time.
Real quick, because
okay, next one. Is it this one? This is so difficult to follow. Right, I think it's this one.
There's no legal teeth to actually filing charges in that audio. So, for instance, when he says he's going to slap Chloe in the face, he pauses and he says, with a cease and desist order. So everything he does in that audio is calculated to where there's no real, he says he's going to shut Seth's mouth, for good or whatever. Well, there's really no legal teeth to saying that, does that mean he's going to shut his mouth by going on and sharing some information about him? Does it mean he's going to punch him in the mouth? What does it mean? It's very vague. So when you go, you can file charges against anybody, but for any charges to stick, it's just like suing somebody. You can sue anybody, but for the charges to stick, there's going to have to be a little bit more legal teeth to that than what I see.
Yeah, I in my personal opinion, I think.
Yeah, look, what Chris said, that angry leaked phone call, what Chris said, in anger, I don't think law enforcement are going to arrest him for that. If people are thinking that Chris is going to get arrested for what he said on that call, I'm sorry, I don't think so. Look, they could file charges. How far would it get in the courts? Come on. But anyhow, this is madness. It is. It's mental. All of it's mental. Is this 7 p.m. UK time? No, it's 7 p.m. Chris's local time. Tony's local time. So he said 7 p.m. So we've got to assume it's in his local time. So that's probably going to be Central or maybe Eastern. I don't know. Anyway, that was only a minute clip. Next one.
There's no legal.
As law enforcement. Sorry. If you have any questions, let me know. Whatever VR means, Katie and Chris.
When was that sent, Chase?
It was.
If you had nothing to hide, you wouldn't care who came to your house. Just saying.
Or your family's house.
April 27th, it was sent.
Yeah, well, guess who's not considering it anymore?
Thank goodness. Listen, I've been on board with you with putting a united front on, even though I'm skeptical with the whole Proudfoot situation. However, I understood, like I've told you many times, I understand what you were trying to do. I applaud you for trying to do it. Yeah, many people would not even attempted that because they would have known how that wasn't going to get them anywhere. But you still attempted it, right? You still did your due diligence when it came to trying to do a united front. And clearly Chris and Katie have no care in the world to have any of that united front. They don't care. This email says enough for me.
That's a great time for me to move into the second message that I wanted to deliver to you guys tonight. So, I'd heard a lot of people, especially over the last 48 hours or I don't know, I guess 70, whenever it was, Chase, that we came on last time. I guess that was 2 days ago. But, there's been a lot of people comment all over YouTube, Facebook, TikTok, whatever, that, that they told me, they kept telling me, they can't believe it took me this long to find out or figure it out or whatever. And I didn't really put any merit into it, but I've recently become intrigued with JLR. And I know that not everybody likes JLR, so trigger alert, whatever. But here's the thing with JLR. When I first started watching that guy years ago, I was really skeptical, and I didn't really agree with all of his antics. But I will tell you that today, and I actually reached out to him, but today I will say, and I'm not sure what's happened. I think maybe he's like me, and old age has settled him down a little bit. But I do think he's doing a decent job. I got a little concerned when I heard him say that it took me a while to figure out that I can't work with him. What I want you guys to understand is...
Oh, it always stops on the interesting bit. So, look, JLR is a divisive subject. All right? He's like Marmite. You either love him or you hate him. There's not many people who are somewhere in between. I think, honestly, I'm probably one of the few who are somewhere in between. I think there are times when he does good work and there are times when he goes too far. That's just my opinion. And, you take, look, JLR, he's not apologetic. You take him as you find him. I'm interested to know what Tony is planning with JLR. Oh dear. Is this Tony? Yes, it is. It's Tony Mathis, who's the spokesperson for Seth Rogers. He came on board the team trying to get the Profoots and Seth, to work together and be a calming influence. And he quickly realized that wasn't going to happen. Look, I'm not Team Profoot. All right. People think that I'm, standing up for Chris and this, that, and the third. No, I'm neutral. I'm neutral with Seth. I'm neutral with the Profoots. I think Seth has done some stuff that I don't agree with. He's put some stuff out that I don't think should have come out. I think the Profoots are, I've made a couple of videos about this. I think the Profoots are following what law enforcement have told them to do. That's not go on every channel spreading information out there. They probably know stuff from law enforcement that law enforcement won't give Seth, because Seth is a loose cannon. It's and in relation to searching, actually going out, boots on the ground, as opposed to things like giving out flyers. Law enforcement don't want parents to go and search. They can't stop them, but they don't want them to. Because look, imagine if a parent's out there searching and they come across their deceased child. That's traumatizing. Also, potentially, if that scene is a crime scene, it turns out that was a homicide, then a parent going in trampling over that crime scene, probably picking up stuff, picking up that child or whatever, it's a problem. So that's why law enforcement don't want parents searching. They can't stop them though. So things like giving out flyers, doing publicity events, all of that's great. Law enforcement doesn't stop anybody doing that. Can anybody possibly blame Chris for not wanting anyone but Ellie on his property? I was just about to go into that. A lot of people are blaming Chris for not allowing like dog handlers, just like random dog handlers, to go into his property. I certainly wouldn't want it, because how do you know that person isn't just taking a random dog, some kind of, random dog, whether it's a certified dog or not, and going into that property with a camera. And all they want to really do is poke around the property, and then they're going to release the footage of their house. No, I'd say no. Absolutely not. If law enforcement want to search that house again, then that's one thing. But random people, whether they're certified, whether they're approved, whether they're well known or not, no, at this stage, given all the nonsense that's gone on, I would say no, absolutely not. I don't care who you are. You're not coming in. You know, you might have a hidden camera. You're just wanting to record something for social media. No. I'd say law enforcement only. Doesn't matter if law enforcement have approved that person or have credited that person and said, yeah, go ahead, go and search whatever you want as long as you get permission, blah, blah, blah. But no, not the property. The property's been searched extensively. And if law enforcement want to search that property again, they will search it again. And I'm pretty sure that Chris and Katie would give permission for law enforcement to search it again. If not, then of course, law enforcement could get a warrant for it. It's wasting time, in my opinion. Wasting time. All right, next clip.
As law enforcement.
This one.
She was the one that put stuff out there from the very beginning that made us look at the Proudfoots and their behavior, right?
Oh, you're talking about Seth's mom. I was looking for Grandma Rogers in the comments. I'm like, what are you talking about?
I know. I was like, wait a second, what?
Seth's mom. And then, you know, the other day she unleashed and she was like, you know, CP, you told law enforcement your wife was involved in the beginning. Good for her. But then she like kind of backtracked on that. And people are like, well, what the heck? Grandma Rogers, you know, like you can't blast them and then take it back and be like, oops, my bad. You know, like gloves are off. Let it roll, Grandma. Let it roll.
I am so here for Grandma Rogers. Like when she makes posts, I think everybody's like, get him, Grandma.
Yeah.
I love her.
You know, here's the humor and the irony is that have any of you guys at all been following Caleb's case? I mean, like really following it?
Yeah,
I have.
Okay. So you know that we got an unhinged grandma over on that side too, right?
Yeah.
So Grandma Janet, we call her Nana, and like I said, when I called her grandma, she corrected me and said it's not grandma, it's Nana. But so Nana
reminds me of my Nan. We used to call her Nan or Nanny. She hated grandma. She would put you down. She'd strike you down with venom if you called her grandma. She hated it. I don't know why. But yeah, they're talking there about Robin Rogers, Seth's mother. She's been as inflammatory as any YouTuber, in my opinion. Some of the stuff she said, she's been very, very inflammatory. Is she angry? Does she have a right to be angry? Maybe. If she truly believes that Chris, at least Katie's responsible in some way, shape or form, does she have a right to say that? Yeah, she does. She does. You live in the land of free speech, don't you, in the US, just like I do in the UK. You say whatever you want, within reason, obviously. There are limits. But, you know, it's one thing to be angry, but it's another thing once you realise that this is just inflaming the case. There is a time and a place to say, hold on a minute, you know, I'm not helping here. My anger, I need to keep it off social media. Look, when my son was killed back in 2014, I didn't go on social media at all. I mean, I did go on social media, but not talking about him, not talking about the criminal investigation, nothing, zilch, nada. I was completely silent about it until the sentencing. And then I released the information. But no way. And law enforcement, you know, carried on talking to me. The lead investigator came to see me. You know, I had a very good relationship with law enforcement. And they didn't tell me not to go on social media. I just I just knew instinctively it's a bad thing to go and put stuff about the case on social media. It's inflammatory and it's potentially detrimental. And she has toned it down. Like, I think maybe her last but one post, you know, she has toned it down. And she said, look, Chris and Katie have all passed polys and, you know, but the damage is done. So she's not helped. She's not helped, in my opinion. She's just not. She's not helped. My mum is Nana too. Yeah, there's a lot of Nanas. Ours was Nanny when we were little, and then Nan as we got older. Tia Sharp. I know about that case, so Anna. How many times was Tia Sharp's home searched until they found her in the attic? I believe 4 times, if I remember rightly. So Tia Sharp, it's a UK case. I remember it all going down when it happened. I was following it very closely when it happened. And the reason why Tia wasn't found for a week was because law enforcement went in, and it wasn't a big house, right? It was not a big house, just a standard house. And they went in, took dogs in, and the cadaver dogs were alerting on the landing area upstairs. And there was a hatch to the attic. Like, I've got a hatch to my attic, right? But because it was just, you know, a hatch, and then the attic wasn't a developed attic. It wasn't a room. It was just, you know, the space between the ceiling and the roof. Mine's the same. Like, you if you go up there, it's just dark. It's not developed. It's not a room. Now, in Tia's case, the cadaver dog was alerting on this landing. What they didn't do, however, was take the dog up to the attic because they couldn't get the dog up. Now, of course, they could have just got a ladder. They could have got a ladder and gone up there. So what one officer did was just put their head into the attic, had a look around. It was dark. They didn't see anything. So they thought the alert was false. However, a full week later, law enforcement went into the house and there was a smell. The body had decomposed that much that humans could now smell it. And what had happened was Tia was murdered by her grandma's boyfriend, someone called Stuart Hazel. Was it Stuart? Stuart Hazel? I know his last name was Hazel anyway. And he'd wrapped her body in plastic, bin liners and stuff like that, you know, lots of layers, and left it in the attic. His plan was to remove her body from the attic and go and dispose of it elsewhere. But what he didn't bank on was the fact law enforcement were watching the family. Law enforcement were like there every day. And there was media outside. This became a big case in the UK. Everybody was following it, and all the national newspapers were out there in front of the house. So we didn't get an opportunity to move the body. But this subterfuge, we have a pull-down ladder to our attic. Yeah, I did in my previous house. I don't have one in this one. I don't need to use the attic. You know, there's not enough room between the ceiling and the roof to create a room. There's no point. It's not high enough. Some people develop their attic space when the roof's high enough. Anyhow, that lasted a week because law enforcement went in, realized there was a smell, realized that the dog that had alerted days before was genuine. So law enforcement went in and actually went into the attic with lights and found Tia's body wrapped in lots of layers, bin liners, plastic. So that lasted a week. Sebastian has now been missing for nearly 3 months. The Proudfoots don't have the same kind of attic as in Tia's case. So their attic room, their kind of, second floor room, is a developed room. You can see it. It's an actual room. It's a big room. You can see it on the pictures of the house on Zillow. I'm not going to show them because I've had a couple of videos removed when I've shown the house. So I'm not going to do it. But go to Zillow or any of the realtor sites and look up the house and you can see what that room looks like. So it's not the same kind of case as Tia Sharp. Not at all. Why is everyone ignoring the fact that the Proudfoots left the state? What if Sebastian came home? Yeah, I mean, Chris had to work. I personally, if I was Katie, I wouldn't have left. I'd have wanted to stay in the house just in case he came home. Have they got a basement? No, they do not. That's me personally. But Katie didn't want to stay in the house on her own because there were people there. She felt threatened. And I'm pretty sure that if Sebastian did come home, one of the neighbours would see him. And he could just get in. He knew the code to the door, so he could just go in. He could just go in and then, use his phone to ring his mother. So, anyhow, next clip.
She was the one that put stuff out there.
But I don't work for me. I work for Seth. Seth wanted me to try to unite the front, give everybody one voice. That message came 100% from Seth. I told Seth from the beginning, just like I told him not to go on Nancy Grace. I told him that I didn't believe it was going to work, but I would do everything I could do to make it happen. So, my job his job is to define the message. My job is to figure out how to deliver the message and who to deliver the message to. That's my job. So just for everybody that thinks that I'm a little bit slow, and that may not be a lie, I might be a little slow, but I wasn't a little slow on this deal. On this deal, I was simply taking orders from Seth. I never wanted to work with him to begin with.
But that says a lot about you, Tony, though, because we all know, we've all been sitting and watching. We know that there was no good chance of Chris Proudfoot coming around, or Katie, to say the least. Right. But you still attempted.
Right.
And I give you applause for actually attempting and trying, because you did not have to, but you still tried to. And they had plenty of time to come around. And did we think it was going to work? Probably not. But you had, in my opinion, you have to at least try, right? So at least you can say, I tried it, didn't work, we're moving on.
Yeah. And I'm old school. I believe in the chain of command. And, I have two bosses in addition to the boss that pays my bills. I have Randy Harris and I have Seth Rogers, and those are my two bosses. And, I may not agree with the messages that they choose to have me deliver, but I have agreed to deliver those messages. What I have control over, again, is how they're delivered and who they're delivered to. So, but the message itself, that's not coming from me. Now, am I throwing Seth under the bus? No. Seth will tell you that, him and Randy are my two brothers. And, he'll tell you that it was his call, that he thought it was the right thing to do, to give it a try and bury the hatchet or whatever. And it was also not my decision when I lost my cool the other night. And, that was my choice as to how to deliver that message. But it was Seth's message to deliver.
Lose your cool. When did you lose your cool? I've never seen you lose your cool.
Well, whenever I was on the show the other night and I started
Did not lose your cool.
You did not lose your cool.
Okay.
That was you losing your cool. My goodness.
No, there's a lot more left than that. That was a level 3 lose my cool.
You were just calling the BS. That's all.
Yeah. Yeah.
Did anybody ask me? I do want to clarify in the comments because I know people pop in and out, and it's only been kind of a few days in regards to things. So Tony is taking on the blunt of everything on behalf of Seth, which we've been saying for a long time, for weeks, that we need Seth to sit back and do what he has to do, and not take the forefront on a lot of this stuff because he has enough when dealing with Sebastian not around and trying to find.
Again, stopped at an interesting moment. Look, is that not somewhat disingenuous to say I didn't really want to work with Chris? You know, I tried because Seth wanted to, and I didn't really want to work with Chris. I think that's a little disingenuous. It might be truthful, but did anybody really believe it was going to work? Like to have the two sides of the family working together, given that, in my opinion, look, Seth and Chris are two sides of the same coin. They're very similar in some ways, very different in others. Very different in others. They are both hot-headed. They're both they're quick to anger. And they've both said stuff that perhaps they shouldn't have said. More so Seth, in my opinion, stuff that he shouldn't have said. So them two working together is not going to be a very happy partnership. I was hoping it would work out because I think that's the best thing for the case. It's the best thing for Sebastian, for them to have a united front. I mean, look at the Petito and Smith families in the Gabby Petito case. You know, there was Joe Petito and his wife, and then Nicole Smith and her husband. And they've worked together as a united front. You know, they've worked together very, very effectively. And if they've had disagreements, they've never been made public. They may have had disagreements. We don't know. But it's worked really well. And I was hoping that the two sides could come together and work together. But did anybody actually think that it would work? I don't know. I don't know. But I think it's a little disingenuous for Tony to have said that. Even if it's true, I think it's not helpful in my opinion. Just in my opinion. It was very amicable. Chris approached Seth to help him as he thought he had car problems. Oh, I didn't know that. The picture on YouTube of Chris approaching Seth didn't look very hospitable, in my opinion. Oh, you mean the photo that was taken at the vigil? It didn't. They were like, it did look confrontational, but we don't know what was said. And apparently it wasn't confrontational. That's true, SF Investigates. Oh, SF, thanks for being in the chat. Love your work, by the way. I follow your work on Twitter. Remember the first day he said they were going to start only doing national media like News Nation, etc. Now he's on a 6-way first. Yeah. Absolutely. Tony never wanted to work with him, so Chris was right not to trust you and lied to everybody. I think, listen, I'm not Team Proudfoot. I'm really not, and I'm not defending Chris. I think there's things that we've found out about Chris that are not nice, things that he said that are not nice. But in terms of moving this case forward, I think what Chris and Katie have done is more useful in terms of the overall investigation, like basically, you know, taking a back seat for the majority of the time, rather than being on every single panel. You know, when the case was new and Chris was on loads of different panels shouting his mouth off, that was not helpful. That was Don Wells 2.0. That's exactly what Don Wells did in the Summer Wells case. Has it helped him? Absolutely not. Has it made him look more guilty? Yes. It's not a good look. And I'm glad that he stopped. I'm glad that he's realized that that's not useful. You know, he was coming on trying to defend himself, just like Don Wells was. Don Wells fell into exactly the same trap, and creators wanted him on there because it was revenue for them and clout for them. Did we all discuss those interviews? Did we all replay those interviews? Yes, we did. I did. I discussed them at length. Is it overall helpful to the case? Not mainly, no. Some of it was useful, but is it helpful overall? No. In my opinion. And Seth started falling into the same trap. So I'm glad that I think one positive of having a spokesperson is that it can take away that inflammatory nature of somebody getting either goaded or, you know, intentionally provoked to create a reaction. It takes that away. But then again, Tony came online the other day and was angry. Tony himself inflamed the situation. So, I don't know. I don't know what to think. Who would want to work with a psychopath? Which one's the psychopath? I'm not seeing anybody. Not seeing anybody who's psychopathic, personally, in my opinion. Right.
But I don't work for me. I work for Seth.
Have I just done that one? 333. Does it tell me?
But I don't work for me. I work for Seth.
I've just done that one. I've just done that one.
Seth wanted me to try.
We're on this one.
So thank you, Tony, and thank you, Seth, wherever you are in here. I know I didn't make you your account yet for TikTok, but I will. We just got Tony's up to 200 late last night. So for Sebastian. So it says, this is the email between Chris Proudfoot and to Seth. It says, Seth and Associates, I have had time to consider the dog handler matter and the other requests that you have mentioned as well. My answers are as follows. Dog handler, if you wish to use a dog handler to search, that is fine. However, after talking with law enforcement agencies and Katie, the dog handler, and anyone else is being denied access to our house and property. Any form of permission to set foot on our property, as well as any other family members. Think of that. Any other family members. Sorry, I had to say it. Access to our house.
Which would be who, right?
Exactly.
Just say it. Who?
His mom, his sister.
Right. That's right.
Yeah. There's no need to put it in this email. Why would you put it in the email if you had no, you know what I mean? That's like 999 red flags now we have.
Yeah.
So he continues and he says, access to our house and our property, any form of permission to set foot on our property, as well as other family members' property, is being denied. And that's in caps as well. This is our official statement, and we ask that our wishes and privacy be respected at this time. Thank you for understanding. This is part 2 for Tony.
Now, okay.
What?
No. I was just going to say, did he give a reasoning?
No reasoning. There's no reasoning. It's just denied.
Because that's a man who wants to find his wife's child, huh?
I mean,
Well,
I can.
let me
like my
hold on,
theory is
let me finish it, and then we'll
probably
let me
right.
finish the email, and then we'll go. So then it says number 2, Tony Mathis. I am still looking into this and have no answer for you at this time.
I'm not sure that all of these clips are in order, because that's jump back to what Chris has been saying about not allowing dog handlers in his house. So I'll reiterate what I said previously. If I was Chris and Katie, there is absolutely no way on God's sweet earth that I would allow any dog handler or any searcher who was not law enforcement into my house. I would not, absolutely not allow them in. That house has been searched multiple times. Law enforcement knows what's in that house. And Sebastian is not in that house. For any other searcher, dog handler to go into that house and search it would not help find Sebastian, because he's not there. He is not there. Law enforcement knows he's not there. If law enforcement needs to go in again, they will go in again. Chris is doing absolutely the right thing, in my opinion, by not pandering to the social media junkies who are saying, oh, well, he doesn't want to find Sebastian. He doesn't want to help. You know, that therefore he must be guilty, because you're not letting this person or this person into your house to search. Sebastian is not there. If these dog handlers or anyone else want to help, then go and search the woodland. Start with that immediately north of the construction site. I don't know how many times I need to say this. It's been searched before, but so many cases, things get missed. I'll bring up the case of Bryn Hargreaves once again. He was actually born in my neck of the woods here in Northern England, but he moved to West Virginia. One day, he just disappeared. People thought he'd been abducted. People thought all sorts of things. His family hired private investigators, search teams. Law enforcement did extensive searching. They searched, there's a large lake close to his house. They searched that numerous times. The dogs hit on that lake, but nothing was found. Where was he? He was in the woods, down like a small ravine, 300 yards away from his front door. And he'd been there for 14 months. A hunter found him completely by accident. I've got all the search grids and the maps that were used, and they went all over that area, and they did not find him. Why didn't they find him? I don't know, but he was down a ravine, like a small ravine. And he'd been there for 14 months. So it doesn't matter how many times an area has been searched. If it's a key place, search it again. So I would think that if anybody wants to help, has got the skill, has got the drive, has got the dogs or the drones or the expertise, whatever, to go out there, then get the relevant permissions, because, you know, it's private land, get the relevant permissions from the landowners and go and search the area immediately north. If he's not there, absolutely 100% not there, then move either to the west or a little bit further north. But do it in a grid pattern, do it carefully. Law enforcement searched that area when they were looking for a live child. Now, after all this time, if he's in the woods, if that's where he went, then he's not alive. It needs to be searched again. Cadaver dogs, drones, whatever is necessary, that's the place that can further this case along. Not the house. Not the house. I believe that absolutely SF Investigates is within 2.4 miles of the house. Statistically, that's what the search rescue models show. They need to search again. They're hasty search, not grid searched. Absolutely, 100% agree with you. For those of you who follow my videos and don't follow SF Investigates on Twitter, He's a private investigator. He's not a PI on this case, but he's got extensive search experience. I have shown the grids that SF has put on Twitter. I've shown it on a number of videos. So, you know, just go back. It's very recent videos. Go and check those out. And I agree. He's within, I think he's very close to the house. If he's deceased, if that's where he went, he's very close to the house. And when they're searching for a live person, they don't do like a, you know, fingertip search. They don't. They search areas, because if it's a live person and they hear, you know, a helicopter, or they hear a dog rustling about in the undergrowth, or they hear the voices of people shouting their name, what do? They make themselves known, unless they're unconscious, obviously. They make themselves known. They stand up, they shout. Now, there are cases where children, and I'm not necessarily just saying autistic children, but children in general, are too scared. They hear the searchers, they hear the helicopter overhead, and they're scared and they hide. And that's really unfortunate, because then that child could be missed because they're not making themselves known. However, at this point, nearly 3 months later, if Sebastian went into those woods, fell down a ravine, fell down a hole, a cave collapsed around him, all of that stuff is possible. And it's very possible that if he was deceased at the time they were looking for a live person, it's very possible they missed him. So to further this case, to move this case along, arguing with Chris about searching the house, absolute complete waste of time. Complete waste of time. Yep, Kylie Rodney, Brian Laundrie, Kaylee Anthony. Yes, absolutely. Thank you, Nonea. Kylie Rodney. Look, law enforcement supposedly searched Prosser Reservoir. I think they were honing in on the boat ramp. I think they were concentrating on the wrong place. But supposedly they searched Prosser Reservoir. And we were all, including me, we were all theorizing about where she could be, because she's not there. She's not in the obvious spot. And all of these conspiracy theories are still going on in Kylie's case. Where was she? Where was she? Very close to the shore. Brian Laundrie. I think Brian Laundrie's a little bit of a different case. They were searching, if I remember rightly, they were searching the other end of the preserve that he was found in, because they were getting signs of a live person, like camping out there. And they did find someone who'd been camping out there. So I think they were assuming, when they were following like the signs of someone actually being in those trees in that woodland, they were assuming it was Brian, and it wasn't. It was someone else who'd been kind of hiding out there, and they found that person. And Brian was at the other end, completely at the other end. And for part of that search, it was actually underwater. Kaylee Anthony. Now, Kaylee Anthony was found very close to home, wasn't she? Again, found by accident. Now, whether Kaylee had been there all the time, or whether she'd been moved there at a later date after the searches have finished, we don't know. We don't know, and we'll never know. We'll never know. We don't know if TBI gave anybody permission for anything. We don't know. We weren't there. According to Tony Mathis, earlier on in this interview here, he said that he got some kind of verification from Jules, like in writing, that the TBI had given her, that they give her the go-ahead to search with her dogs. But obviously, they're just saying, yeah, cool. They can't give permission to search private land. They're not going to get a warrant for Jules to search private land. No, it's all voluntary. So Jules can go and take her dogs and search anywhere that she's got permission to do so. But searching that house, in my opinion, is just a complete and total waste of time. Waste of time. The pig truck driver in Iowa was found like 1.5 miles from the truck a few weeks ago. It happens so many cases where people are found where they've just been missed. Now, there are occasions, in homicide cases where bodies are moved. So a place has been searched and they genuinely weren't there the first time and somebody's moved them into an area that's previously been searched. That does happen. But in cases like Sebastian's, where there's absolutely no hint of foul play, I mean, law enforcement are not ruling it out because they're not ruling anything out, but there's no hint of foul play. The chances are Sebastian left that house of his own volition. And if he's deceased, he's close to home. That's Occam's razor.
So
okay, so
thank you, Tony, and thank you, Seth.
Oh, dogs, all I know is that they're able to detect decomp up to an hour after, decomp starts. Like that's my basic knowledge. But it was very odd. Her behavior was odd.
Well, what I found odd when I talked to Jules, and I talked to her for 10 or 15 minutes, and she explained to me what all the different 7 dogs that she had trained were used for. And I mean, a canine dog is not a canine dog. I mean, they do, one of them does, remains, one of them's a tracking dog, one of them does drugs, one of them does explosives.
They have specialties like doctors.
Exactly. It's a great way to put it.
Well, and they have to go through a lot of training too. So, you're not going to just have a generic dog that's like trained on all these different things, because they're not going to be as effective as if they were trained in one area of practice.
And I do know for a fact, because you guys have seen the email, I know for a fact that Proudfoot would not let Jules and her dogs come on the property because it was sent in the same email where he was addressing me. So I know that they were approved by Agent Simmons and he would not let them on his property. And, my first red flag there is why. I mean,
right.
You think that the dogs are going to figure out that, you're an asshole too? I mean, the dogs are there to do a job. They're not on Team Seth. They're there on Team Sebastian. That's it. The dogs aren't partial.
You want me to read the email real quick? Or if it's the same email up on my computer? Because I was, okay.
Why are you reading that to him, Chad?
Have I already played this one? Because haven't we already heard the email? I don't know whether I've already played this one. I don't think they're all in order. I think some of them are in order and some of them aren't. But anyhow, it is what it is. It's good that this person has recorded them, even if it is a little bit clunky. But thank you once again to the person who did record this, or else we'd never have seen it.
Chase, I'm not going anywhere, but Seth just sent me some exclusive images of Sebastian that nobody's seen that he wanted me to share with you.
Oh, okay.
So you're gonna see me kind of whatever for a minute, but go ahead and do your thing. I'll be right back.
All right, sounds good. If you want to, and you can text them to me if you want. Thank you, Seth. Okay. All right. So
I'm sure
this is the email that's been floating around. Yes. Happy Mother's Day to everybody. So the email that everybody has been seeing, or it's on Facebook. It says Seth and Associates. And actually, side note, I'm so glad he's doing that because we've been asking for more photos. So thumbs up to Tony for getting more photos from Seth for Sebastian, because we only have so many, right? I feel like I go to make a post and it's the same like 5.
Oh, this is so annoying. We're on the last one in a minute.
Oh, dogs, all I know is that they're able to detect.
So this is going to be the last one. So they're definitely not in order. Anyhow, look, again, I think Chris has done absolutely the right thing in not allowing people to search in his house. Michelle, you're right. Great name, by the way. I think that law enforcement searched everything in the house. I'm sure they considered foul play, considered runaway, considered many things. They did their diligence. They did. They have done. I believe they have done. What signs would there be? Like, you know, law enforcement has said there's no sign of foul play, although they can't rule it out. But there's no evidence of a fight. There's no evidence of blood. There's no evidence of anything in the house or in the vehicles. So law enforcement can only work with facts. They can't work with some kind of speculation or Chris is being awkward, therefore he's guilty. No, they don't work like that. They work on facts and evidence. And they've cleared that house as much as any place can be cleared. That's true. Brian was found right near his car, 100 yards. Parents were right there when the car was parked, and parts went straight to his body. Yeah, the parents went straight to his body. Yeah. Yeah. But for part of that time, that land that he was found on was flooded. Have they done that with somewhere wells? Done what, Mark? Is there something the private landowners can have searchers sign, like they're not responsible for anyone getting hurt? That will encourage the private property owners to allow the search. So like a disclaimer. I mean, if a landowner wanted to write a disclaimer, then they could do. I don't see any reason why they couldn't. You know, some of those, you know, those wooded areas, again, you know, they were searched by law enforcement who were looking for a live child, a live teenager. And law enforcement have said, they said several times in press conferences for property owners to search their own land. And anybody who couldn't search their own land, so I don't know, someone who was elderly or disabled, or it wasn't their main residence, if they, for whatever reason, couldn't search their own land, and continually they were telling people to search things like sheds, outbuildings, barns, underneath structures, underneath vehicles. They were asking people to do it twice a day in the early days, because they know Sebastian, you know, liked to hide. On one previous occasion, a neighbour found him down the road hiding under a car. That was said in the dispatch audio. So law enforcement were well aware that Sebastian might be hiding. And for landowners, if they could, to search all of those spots twice a day, morning and night. But if they couldn't, then let them know, let the sheriff's office know, and they'd send people to actually search that land for them. So I don't know how many landowners took them up on that offer, but law enforcement did their due diligence in the early days, and there is only so much they can do. There is only so much they can do. They do rely on, you know, landowners helping out. They do rely on volunteers helping out. So, but yeah, I guess if a landowner was concerned that, you know, they wanted to allow people on, but they were concerned about, you know, I don't know, if somebody had an accident on their land, and would they be responsible? And I guess they could write a disclaimer. But is it possible that he went out for a walk and got picked up by a predator and he's not in the area? Absolutely, yes. Absolutely, that's possible. Of course that happens. Look at little Michael Vaughn from Fruitland, Idaho. Of course that happens. You know, he was abducted from his own street, yards away from his house, and his remains have never been found. So, search merch needed, Michelle. I've never done merch. I've never done merch in relation to true crime. I did merch when I was first on YouTube, before I did true crime. I'm actually wearing one of the t-shirts that I made back in the day, but I've never done true crime merch. I don't really know what to kind of put on, like, merch wise. Anyhow, this looks like it's the last clip, so let's play.
Case is going to converse back and forth with law enforcement, and there's things that are said that won't go to Randy, the father. But it's not done because they don't trust Randy. It's done because they're working on something that is part of the investigation. So there's all types of things. But here with Sebastian, I think a lot of it has to do with they told Seth some things to do early on and he didn't listen. So they shut him off for a while and they iced him or sidelined him or whatever you want to say. And I think he's working to rebuild that. But, you know, one of those things they told him early on, and they did tell Chris and Katie, was we don't need you out here searching for your son. Well, I mean, if you're going to be mad that he's doing that, then, you know, he's probably not going to get any communication from him because he's searching for his son all day, every day.
I think that's what most parents would do. And I get why, like, you know, they say not to do it, but I would.
Okay. All right. So that looks like it's the last clip.
Case is going to converse back.
I don't know that we got every single minute of that conversation, but it was very useful. There's no more. It was very useful for that person to do it. There may be some more clips out there that aren't here because it doesn't sound like it was the complete conversation, but it's that's good enough. Thank you, Purple AJ. Once again, you are so kind for gifting 10 memberships. Who's got them? Proud Mama, YMCA, Debbie, Terry, Scout, Merge, Charlie Ann. Thank you, no. That's a great one. It's just me, Dogs with Jobs. Thank you. Once again, you guys, you 10, you get a month's free membership courtesy of the wonderful Purple AJ, who is so very, very generous. Exactly, SF. In search and rescue, we beg parents and family not to shadow us. That could be their last memory if they find them deceased. Absolutely. Absolutely. That's why law enforcement don't want people out there, because it's traumatizing for them and it could potentially interfere with a crime scene. If that parent, you know, sees their deceased child and understandably freaks out and picks them up and wants to cradle them and that, well, come on. That happened in the JonBenet Ramsey case back in 1997 in Colorado. John Ramsey found JonBenet's body and carried her upstairs, and potentially, I don't know whether it did, but potentially, you know, it certainly, you know, infiltrates that crime scene. So, you know, that was back in 1997. We know better now. And obviously, law enforcement can't stop a parent searching. They don't want to stop them doing, you know, things like giving out flyers or publicity events or anything like that. They don't stop that. They encourage that. But actually, on the ground searching is potentially very traumatizing. I absolutely understand why Seth has done what he's done. I absolutely understand that. But look at it from law enforcement point of view, it's not what they would have wanted. And I think that Chris and Katie have abided by what law enforcement have asked of them. And they've been heavily, heavily criticized for that. But look, I feel so sorry for Katie. I really, really do. That I don't think Katie did anything to hurt him. I don't think she murdered him. I don't think she killed him by accident. This is all obviously just my opinion. But I think if she'd done something, there would be some kind of evidence of it somewhere. And law enforcement haven't found any evidence of it. everything leads me to believe that Sebastian, for whatever reason, whether he was upset, whether he heard Chris and Katie arguing, whether there was something on his mind, whether he just went out for a walk on a warm night, for whatever reason, he left that house voluntarily. What happened to him after that is the thing that's open to interpretation. But Occam's razor, to me, suggests that he's out there, and unfortunately, he lost his life, and he's close to home. That's Occam's razor to me. Now, is it possible that he was abducted? Yes, absolutely. Is it possible that he met someone either in the local area that he'd been talking to or online that he'd been talking to, and they said they were a friend and they weren't, and they did something horrible to him and murdered him and took him out of the area? Absolutely, yes. All of those things are on the table. But we have to be mindful that the chances are, the simplest explanation, the one that, has the least amount of steps to reach that outcome, is that he left that house voluntarily and he's somewhere within a couple of miles of his house. Sadly. Yeah, I think Katie is very shy. Whether she's on the spectrum, I don't know. I wouldn't like to say. But flying to Nashville, SF. Take care. Safe journey. Admire your work. Dana K, member for 2 months. Thank you so much. Thank you for the free membership. So, how to get this? If you want to go and listen to these again. So, I'm looking at this. This is Find Sebastian Rogers.
Case is going to converse back and forth with law enforcement, and there's things that are
auto playing. It's annoying. So this is called Find Sebastian Rogers on Facebook. So it's the one with 3.3k members. There's a number of these out there. And if you go to the media section, so I'm in the media section here, so that's all the discussion posts. But if you go to media and then go to videos, and then they're all there. So for that's anybody who wants to go and play them back without my commentary. And again, I'm not sure that the entire conversation was there, and it doesn't sound like it was in order, but it's as good as we got. Scott, member for 8 months. Thank you so much, Scott. Thank you. So I've put the link there in the chat. I'll put it in the description box of the video as well for replay viewers. If there are any clips out there that aren't here and that I haven't played, well, I've done the best I can in finding this conversation. So yeah. This is who we're all talking about. This is who actually matters. This is the only person that actually matters. We can think what we like about Seth and Chris and Katie. We can think Seth is a blabbermouth. We can think Chris is a bit of an ass. He's arrogant. And we can think that Katie did something to Sebastian. Or, if you're like me, you feel incredibly sorry for her. I feel really sorry for her. I really do. She's stuck between the rock and a hard place. But whatever you think about the family, whatever you think about Chris's mother and his stepdad, whatever you think about Seth's mother, all of it is secondary. All of it is secondary to this young man here. This is who is important. And I want everybody to realize that. This is who's important. Sebastian Wayne Drake Rogers He's 15 years old. He's a white male. He's got brown hair and brown eyes. He's 5'5". He's just under 120 pounds. He's been missing since February 26th. That's 78 or 79 days, depending on where you live in the world. He was last seen wearing a black sweatshirt with some kind of motif like Minecraft or something like that. Black sweatpants with a white stripe and glasses. If you've got any credible information at all about this young man, you can ring Sumner County Emergency Communications Centre on 615-451-3838 or the TBI on 1-800-TBI-FIND. That's true, CW. Katie could be a horrible person, Mother. All of them may be awful people. We don't know them, but it doesn't mean they were involved in Sebastian going missing. We just don't know. Absolutely. It doesn't matter what we think about Seth or Chris or Katie. They could be terrible people. All of them could be. They could be absolute rotters. But it doesn't mean that they did anything to Sebastian. Not directly. Could it be indirect? Yes. Yes. Sebastian could have just left because he was so overwhelmed, because he was upset, because he was in the middle of this argument between who's he going to go and live with, Seth, or is he going to stay with Katie? He could have been upset about going to online school that Seth had enrolled him into. All of those things could play in, like his past trauma, the relationships he's got with his family members could all play in, but in an indirect way. And it doesn't mean that anybody committed a criminal offence that resulted in Sebastian disappearing. And it could be that there was nothing particular on that night that drove him away. We just don't know. And unless we have absolute, strong evidence, proper evidence that somebody did something to Sebastian, then in my opinion, everybody is innocent and should be treated with respect. That's just my opinion. I'm the same, flicking bollocks. Feel sorry for them all. They've lost a son and their whole lives are out there now for people to peruse and debate. Are they responsible for some of that? Well, Seth is, yes. Chris is, yes. And Katie, poor Katie, is stuck between a rock and a hard place. I can't put myself in Katie's shoes at this moment. I feel really sorry for her. I really do. Why do you leave without shoes? I don't know. I think he may have had shoes. I think he may have had a pair of shoes that his mother wasn't aware of. That's what I think. Dogs rule, humans drool over the cuteness. That's true. That's true. All right, guys. So Pascal show. Let me just see if Pascal's got a scheduler on that I could share. Pascal show. No, he's not put a scheduler up yet. He's not put a scheduler up yet. But apparently, Seth is going to be on the Pascal show at 7 p.m. Now, I'm assuming that's 7 p.m. Tony's local time, which I think will be Central Time. But it is what it is. Are you invisible, Mike? No, you're not. You're not invisible, Mike. We can all see you. All right, guys, do me a favor. On your way out, give the stream a thumbs up. It just helps with the algorithm. And if you're just coming in, rewind to the beginning. So what we've played is a TikTok live stream that happened overnight my time. When somebody's live on TikTok, TikTok doesn't record, so you can't watch it on a replay. So some kind person has recorded it, at least the majority of it, and put those clips on Facebook. So I've played this from Find Sebastian Rogers' Facebook group, and I'll put the link once again in the description here, or in the chat, and I'll put it in the description box for replay viewers straight after. So I'm going to go now. Thank you all for joining me. Give the stream a like on your way out if you've not done so. It does help. Helps a little. Every little helps. Thanks as always to the mods. Thanks everybody for being respectful. I do appreciate it. And thanks for the donations. Welcome to the new members, and enjoy the rest of your day. Bye, guys.